Hi, I'm Dr. Gemma, and welcome back to Cognitive, the Knitting Psychology podcast. Cheerfully and somewhat irregularly in business since 2008. Segments today may include what's on my hooks, needles, and spindles, a strategy, something I really like, put a lid on it, oh shoot, and blather. So sit back, put your feet up, pick up your knitting, crocheting, spinning, weaving, or dyeing, or any other yarny thing you're doing, and get ready to enjoy. Well, hello there. It's Dr. Gemma, and this is episode 237 of the new series of the Cognitive Podcast. And this one is titled, And Then It Happened. It's a good thing. Don't anybody panic. Many good things are happening by the time you hear this. In fact, it's going to be a pretty exciting week. It's been a pretty exciting month. First, in the warm thanks department, I want to thank both Story and DC Elaine Knits for your exceptional kindness. I really appreciated your comments on 236. I really appreciated the things you said, the kindness, and it really means a lot to me to hear from regular listeners, because that reminds me of one of the most significant reasons I do the podcast. By the way, Elaine, that comment about you should have given the bear a turtleneck and a long skirt just cracked me up so hard I was practically falling out of the chair, because I envisioned suddenly this bear, and I can't explain it, it just killed me. You realize this may be now a life goal to make one that looks like that, for no particular reason, since Mother Bear, alas, has folded. Nonetheless, I also want to thank my community, always and especially in this listenership, in this group. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you. I also want to thank my communities on the ground in the Santa Clarita Valley, on Reddit, and in Finch. I have picked up this terrible habit of taking pictures of my two burbs together. I believe this time they're in Rome, and I'm particularly enjoying that they have boba tea. One of them is wearing sheep slippers. I'm not sure how that slipped in. But they have their pets, a calico cat and a koala, and one of them has ice cream. And anyway, they look about as Dr. Gemma as you can make a pair of finches look, I suspect. They've also had redecoration jobs because I saved up enough diamonds and bought them some new colors for their appearance. So there they are, hanging out in Rome. But anyway, I want to thank my communities in all these places. It means a lot to me that you listen. I don't know if I say that often enough. Meanwhile, yes, Cognitive Fiber Retreat 11, 2024. It is scheduled for October 11th. Right now, it is at that Marriott Courtyard in Westinghouse Place in Valencia that it's been. The reason it's there is a number of reasons. One is that it's close to the 5. It's close enough to a Michael's, because that's our only surviving craft store right now. So if you need a Michael's run. It is close to the running trails, because, you know, some of us got to run on weekend mornings. It is close to downtown Santa Clarita and Valencia, which just has a lot of things. It's also right across the street from Magic Mountain, in case you need a theme park. Okay, so mark your calendars, please. Meanwhile, what is on my hooks and needles? Well, I have finished nothing. In progress, we have the stash toss, which isn't particularly exciting right now. 56 in and 25 out, but no new yarn, so there's a reason to celebrate. I haven't touched the Virgo sweater or the 10 square bag or the Lakeside cardigan, but I did pick up the September sweater, realized that I need to make that second big panel that makes up the body, and I took it with me on the train today into Glendale. This thing's been hanging around for a long time, and I have to say too, in the instructions, I'm following everything they tell you to do, size hook, type of yarn. For my size, they said chain 225, no. I ended up chaining 150 because I tried chaining 225, got most of the first piece done. I could have worn it as a very generous tunic. Now, I noticed they have created a newer version, and I have not yet inspected that. But I will tell you, if you're going to do the September sweater, it's a crocheted sweater, DK weight yarn, I believe, and it's a lot of fun. It's very straightforward, very simple. This is one of those sweaters, the first time around, don't hold your breath. But if you can hang with it and adjust this to your size, this looks like it would be a really good standby sweater to use up DK yarn and to try yarns that you like and all that, try colorways you like. That this is really just two big rectangles sewn together on the edges, and those become the middle seams of the front and the back. And then you're doing tubes for the arms. This is going to be a really nice, simplistic, straightforward, and I think probably highly effective sweater, but you are going to have to do a lot of tailoring on it to make you be able to wear it and look good in it. The reason I say this is the way this is built, it's going to be very, very hard for the designer to adapt it to different body shapes. So in other words, 225 stitches to make this panel that runs from your butt over your shoulder and down to the front of your waist and below. Trying to make that fit people who are different weights and have different sized chests, that's going to be pretty impossible if you think about it. So this is kind of a base pattern, and the individual crocheter has to do some serious adjusting. But this is crochet. It's extremely easy to rip out, restart, and catch up to where you used to be. So far, so good. I'm liking the September sweater. We'll see how it goes. But on the train today to Glendale, I did get a big chunk of that second big piece under control. And I have to tell you, it's basically, after you chain forever, it's only 29 rows. At least that's what I've been doing for it. I think that's what's in the pattern. And that part of it, the short side of the rectangles, came out very well for me. It was the long sides of the rectangles that I had to take up a bit. And it was a very fun, very easy, very straightforward train project because it is a very fun, easy pattern. So yeah, this is good popcorn knitting, except it's crochet. Meanwhile, I was on my emotional support chicken made out of sock yarn last week, and I was telling you how, I'm off in the stitch camp, but I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Yeah, my knitting attacked me, to quote the Knitmores. That I got to the place that you can see in the picture. Now the picture is redone, readjusted to make it work. But I got to this place a few days ago, and it was a train wreck. I was doing so much, knit two together here. Then I realized I missed 3 rows on one side, yeah. So I ripped it back, and I ripped it back to, you can see the base of that is the tail, and it will eventually be folded right down that blue line down the middle of it to make the whole thing go 3-dimensional. So it's knitted flat. And above it is color number 2, that beautiful blue. I ripped back to the beautiful blue and said, oh, come on, I can pick those stitches up. It's only 73. And I did. And they picked up extremely well. I picked them up with color number 1, which is that multicolored orange and looks like beige and pink, right, which is also color number 1 for me. Color number 1 originally was that bright orange, which is from Chris Ah when she was dyeing professionally. And then color number 2, I'm not sure where I even got that, but that became color number 2. And color number 3 will be Lydia's pink from Chris Ah to do the head and face. And color number 2 is from the blue iris socks, you may remember, that I just finished. So I'm having a blast, and it really didn't take a lot to pay attention and get it back under control. Things you should know. If you're doing the emotional support chicken by, I believe, Annette Corsino, and you are saying things like, well, the stitch count is a little off, she must have made a mistake, take it from me, she did not make a mistake, you did. It really does work. It worked perfectly on my first chicken, Karen, in the acrylic from the kit. And is really working perfectly here. What I had forgotten is that it looks very broad when you go across the whole breast piece and then the base of the head piece across to the other side of the chicken breast. It looks extremely broad. Yeah, because you're going to do a lot of decreasing once you finish those two sides, that will fold together to form the chest of the chicken. You do a lot of decreasing. So yeah, her stitch counts are great, but my knitting wasn't. No work on the quilt squares, but Dizzy Blondes, I swear I am still spinning my second braid of the camel hair silk. I'm now on a second bobbin of it, but we will get there, and you will hear more of that. All of my spinning right now is on the Electric Eel 6.1, which is a miracle. If you needed to know anything about the Electric Eel machine, you should know that mine has been knocked to the floor, kicked to the floor, dragged around the house, wrapped around the dog's tail. That is, the fiber got wrapped around the dog's tail, and the lovely spinning wheel bounced around after it. And that baby is still working. So whatever else you might think about the Electric Eel wheel, let me tell you, it can take a beating. Oh, let's get on to a strategy, shall we? Well, this week's theme is about what happened, and that is my son's graduation. And I was pondering this, and it's a very, very strange feeling to see your kid graduate from high school, and I'm sure you're going to hear all about that in the blather. But I was trying to remember what was the most important thing I learned in parenting. And I realized it's one simple phrase. Everybody ready? Here it is. This is just a phase. When I look back at my kid, I was astonished at how seemingly dangerous, chaotic, crazy, stupid, thoughtless, name it all, okay? Yeah, you know what that means? It means they have no life experience. Kids really don't come with experience, and they do the most amazingly crazy things. They say the craziest things. All I can say is thank heavens for the beloved husband, because really early on, we learned to look at each other and say, it's just a phase. Remember, it's a phase. I think this is the only reason my kid was not left out on the prairie to be raised by wolves, packaged up and smuggled onto a space shot to the International Space Station, or left to roam the desert and be raised by coyotes, whatever. You just have to keep saying it's a phase. Now, I was raised to believe when you become a teenager, you make your parents crazy. Then I became a child psychologist, and I learned that this is true. In fact, it's your job as a teenager. You have to do it because it's the test run for becoming an adult. So you have to do every possible thing you can do to make your parents fear for your life, and also make your parents wonder if they might need to take your life and quietly bury you in the backyard. Raising teenagers, wow. And guess what, kids? It's a phase. I have the most wonderful 19-year-old guy in my house right now. He's just lovely. He doesn't smoke, he doesn't drink, he doesn't use drugs, he's not making some girl pregnant. He is mature and kind and responsible and loving. Let me say it up front right here. I owe that to my husband, who is simply the best father I have ever seen. And also to my kids' school. It's a charter school. He had a class of 40. They are loving and kind, and all of them have spent the week reflecting on how their school is so wonderful because there simply is no bullying. I can attest to this. One kid among the class has a moderately severe autism. She did not wear her headphones to get through graduation because she so wanted to hear the ceremony. As a result, she was overwhelmed. She sat and tried to keep herself going, making noises and rocking in her chair, but by golly, she made it, and she walked across that stage looking the same as everybody else. But while she sat there in her chair, struggling to get through the ceremony, people did not stare. They gave her space. They knew what she needed, and they were giving it to her. And nobody made a comment about it. None of the speakers blinked. It was the most amazing show of silent support and solidarity and acceptance and tolerance of difference that I have ever seen in my life. And the amazing thing was, this was the way everybody in the school acted. This was what my son got from his years there. So, you know what I've learned? It's a phase. It's a phase, and here's another phase. My son is a young man. He is happy, successful, a straight A student. He has a high school diploma. He has been admitted to several colleges. Looks like right now he's heading on to our local community college because he gets 2 years of free education there if he goes full time. So we think that's a great starter test for going to full-time college later, and it means he doesn't graduate hugely in debt. So this is a good phase too. This is a wonderful phase, but I will tell you, all those times you dream of dropping your kid off a cliff, as one of the best parents I know once said to me, "Hey, that's normal. How many times have you thought about strangling him?" That's okay. In therapy, we call that typical familial hatred. Sometimes you just hate the people in your family, even though you know in the bigger picture you love them. You have to roll with all of it as a parent. It's a phase. And the most important thing about all of this, your children are watching you. They're learning. You can say anything you want. Your kids are going to act the way they see you act. If they see love and tolerance, that's who they're going to be. So the strategy is a parenting strategy, and this is the single strongest one I know. It's a phase. You're an adult. You can outlast it. It's a phase. Okay, green fingers. Oh, I'm still planting. I've been so stalled. I've got so many plants left to go into the ground. But we will get there, and there's nothing new to say beyond that, except my husband is a monster and a master with that weed whacker. By the way, Project Spearmint. Oh man, the spearmint's going gangbusters. It's so happy. It's so happy. The creeping time is kind of hanging on, but it's not happy. And so I'm just thinking, okay, I'm going to plant the Texas sage among it and let that take over that strip. Let's get on to Aw Shoot, shall we? Boy, are we going fast tonight, yeah? Well, it's been that kind of a day. Don't worry, I'll make up for it in the blather, where I will be spending the whole recording time trying not to cry for the 257th time this week. I've been so happy. Hang in there. But let's get back to Aw Shoot. Well, my hiking in LA experiment. Saturday, I just spent cleaning and knitting. The boys went out. My son had a very long pool party at one of his high school friends' house. And I really had to do some work in our big bathroom, which was a nightmare. And I'm sure you don't need the gory details of cleaning that floor, except to say, remember that stainless steel litter box that I loved so much? Yeah, still in love with it. Unbelievable. Easy to clean, and I clean it maybe once every 8 weeks because it does not stink. You just skip it out. You've heard all this. So I just went in and said, okay, it's time to really get all of the grit off the floor where Minerva's been tracking litter, which she still manages to do despite the unbelievably high sides of this litter box. And it was so much easier to clean because of that litter box, let me tell you. And it was one of those get in the giant soaking tub and clean it out that way, and just everything you look at clean, and puttering in between. And I do love puttering. I have to say, I love wandering from tiny task to tiny task and back again. So I had a great day. And then today, Sunday, June 8th, it's 8:05 p.m. by the way, we moved the graduation party to Glendale. We all caught a train together, and we took my son down to Glendale because all of his favorite things are in one location at the Galleria, and all of ours too. We had a fabulous lunch at Cheesecake Factory where none of us ate cheesecake because we just filled up so much. They do have keto options. Warning, the bacon is sugar cured and you can really taste it, so no bacon if you're me, at Cheesecake Factory. Too much sugar, but I have to tell you, a fantastic California omelet, just huge with a double order of sliced tomato next to it and no bread. Oh, so good. And then we went to the Lego store. And while my son was shopping Legos, because a big amount of Lego money was part of his graduation present, I went next door to the Crocs store. Here's the thing you should know. My Crocs have sprung. That is to say, in running, when you have running shoes, they get sprung, which means after X number of miles, they start to cause damage to your feet and legs. You feel it. What I did not know is Crocs can do that. Now, my Crocs. I was trying to date when I bought the Crocs, and I would have to say probably around, oh my goodness, somewhere between 2012 and 2016. And you don't think of Crocs as being able to be sprung. You think they're kind of permanent. They're not. I was walking around in my favorite highly ventilated Crocs. That is, they have a lot of little tiny holes instead of the bigger holes. I love those things. I got them at the Crocs second store, and they started to hurt me. And a few months ago now, my favorite Crocs, which were fur-lined, they began to hurt me. And this time I knew it because it was in my hips. Both my hips were hurting, and I thought, oh my gosh, my new running shoes, and realized it's not the running shoes. So they're pretty much sprung. So yes, after many, many years of service, I have retired them. I'm going to try and find a shoe charity to take them. And I bought new ones. They're pale lavender, same exact model. I love them. And they also had some really great sandals on sale, sort of a flip-flop style. Not quite a flip-flop. Forget that part. No back sandals. Not a sling, just the bands across the toe. Very, very pretty. Because I also think those Crocs bought at the same time as the highly vented Crocs. I think they're going as well. So we had a Croc refreshment time. I have to say I'm grateful, because there's not a lot of Croc stores around anymore, and I really did need to try these on. They were very amenable to that in the Croc store because I was wearing running shoes that have been handed over to be walking shoes because they're sprung for running. And I was wearing a pair of those, and I had running socks underneath. So the Croc people didn't mind me doing a try-on. So that was really great. Then we went to the enormous Barnes & Noble where my husband and I got completely high on caffeine, drinking coffees together in the coffee shop while my son roamed around and came back and got himself a little high on caffeine. Okay, so that was the graduation party. The graduation party will move one more time, and that is we will be going to Ventura for a long weekend on my week off, and those reservations are made. I was voting that we go to Mammoth, but I was outvoted, and I mean, really, how much can you complain about a long weekend in Ventura? Particularly since we can also take the trains back and forth to LA and to basically anywhere we want, including Santa Barbara, which sounds like a lot of fun to me. So the party for the graduation is not yet over. Meanwhile, by the time you hear this, probably, I will have finished the Sugar Daddy 5K. And I'm hoping my son's going to run it with me. We're trying to get him back. He's been off for a few weeks, like I had been before Memorial Day weekend. And so we're trying to bring him up. He was at a 10K, a fairly easy 10K, in fact. I think he was about 10 miles, in fact. So he should be able to belt out a 5K, even with a few weeks of break. I'm slowly working my way back in my running. I am using the 5K program, only one this time. Last year I was balancing 3 or 4 of them to bring myself up slowly. This time I'm not. This time I'm just working my way up after running that last 5K, the Forever Brave, and being very sore. My goal is just to get comfy again in a 5K. When I get there, we'll see if I want to up the distance, but I don't feel that need right now. At any rate, the Sugar Daddy, hopefully it went well. And I'm not just joking when I say that, because I have no idea where the parking lots are. I keep trying to figure it out, and I really should have gone down this weekend and looked, but too many other things were on the front burner. And I have to be honest, we are really trying to get through this month because this coming week is Father's Day. The week after that is my son's big show. And then I have the week off and we go to Ventura. So I'm kind of emotionally on my hands and knees just trying to get us to Ventura at this point. Meanwhile, you can see the schedule of my other races. I have added the Mountain Gallop, which I did last year in Tehachapi. I talked about this in the last episode, but I'm really beginning to look forward to that again. That Tehachapi is a kind of nice place to go at that time of year because it's a bit cooler. It's up in the mountains. They have a big crafts and wine festival. They have a few festivals all over the town, so that would be really, really nice. Meanwhile, let's see what else we have. The fluffy books. Well, I'm just about finished listening to Georgette Heyer's The Toll Booth, and I believe I'm restarting a listen to The Convenient Marriage, which I didn't like that much the first time around, but now that I've read the whole body of Heyer, or pretty much the whole body of her Regency romances, I want to go back and take another listen to it, just to see if it comes out a bit differently. And it does. I have to say, I listened to the first chapter. Now, I'm at the end of the Toll Booth where it gets exciting, so I'm listening to that while I knit. But I'm listening to The Convenient Marriage at night to put myself to sleep, because the early chapters of Heyer usually do that real well. And I have to say, The Convenient Marriage, the heroine is a lot more likable than I remember. I didn't like her, but I think the point of the story is unlikely girl scores the big marriage and then runs crazy with all her wealth and then works it out with the support of a loving husband. Now, this does harken back a lot to her mastery theme as mentioned in her earlier book, Philip Jetan, however you pronounce it, Transformation of Philip Jetan. And it's a lot more subtle, but she's not kidding around. The hero in this book is about 35. The heroine seems to be 17. So he's kind of a daddy lover, which makes me feel a little creeped out, but that was more acceptable in Heyer's time. And that also harkens back to These Old Shades. Yeah, you just have to read it. I don't know what to say about it. It's not something I would approve of. I know who I was at 17. If you'd married me off, it would have been appalling. And yeah, the May-December marriage, yeah. But it is a little bit more likable, and that's all I can say about that. Haven't been able to get back to My Lady Jane, but I was enjoying it on the train, but I had other people to talk to today on the train. Something I really like, why, handkerchiefs. No, all right, having said that, what I really like is a book I found called Top 10 Los Angeles. Here is the cover blurb, and I would agree with this. An unbeatable, pocket-sized guide to Los Angeles, packed with insider tips and ideas. Color maps, many very good plastic-coated color maps, including pull-out ones. Top 10 lists, and these are all designed to help you see the very best of Los Angeles. The design of this book is very, very thoughtful. There's a summary in the beginning of each section. Here's how to do 1 day here. Here's how to do 2 days. Here's how to do 4 days. And then they break it down into each individual site and where it lands on those schedules. It's a very intelligent, very, very thoughtful book. You may have noticed, if you've been paying close attention, that I've been working my way through guidebooks to Los Angeles because now that I'm riding public transit so much, yes, I've finally decided to really see LA as much as I can before we decide to relocate in probably another 2 years now. So this is the best book I have found so far. There are a lot of books. They all sound like 10 things to do in LA before you die, or 20 or 30, or 150 things, or the secrets of LA, or hidden LA, all sorts of stuff. This one so far, all around the best. It even shows on the maps bus stops, although not all of them, because there's a lot. That would be a pretty crowded map. But it does a really, really good job. So I will be carrying this one with me on future trips. And I wouldn't get this as an ebook. This is definitely something you want to carry with you. And now the weird subject of the collapse of the state of California, as the conservatives are calling it. First of all, no, not even close. If you know California, California is enormous. Civil unrest in one city is by no means the collapse of the state of California. And what about that civil unrest? No, they're showing the same 5 pictures over and over again. Problem is, we don't even know who's doing some of this stuff. I'm not sure. I believe these are all blue voters. Be that as it may. If you're thinking of coming to LA, please do. I was down there today. It was fine. There was a mild interruption of train service because one of the protests was around LA Union Station. That's true. But from what I could see, you could have gotten on and off trains at Union Station, heard a lot of yelling, and that would have been it. And of course, Fox News, which, isn't news, which they've admitted in court. It's not just me. They've said it's just entertainment when they were pressed to admit that they weren't telling news honestly. God only knows where they're getting some of those images, because we know Fox News does not even give honest images, that they will use images from stock photos. They've been caught multiple times. Okay, I want you to know LA's just fine. And yeah, I've walked through a few of those demonstrations last weekend and several weekends before. They've been peaceful. They've been fine. We fully understand in Los Angeles that we're being encouraged to be violent because then we can have martial law declared. Curiously, this is only happening in blue states. Minnesota, Massachusetts. Oh, did I mention blue states who significantly dominate how much money they put into the federal economy? Yeah, there's no control by the federal government here otherwise. But please understand, we're just fine. This is hype. Had to say that because I know a lot of you may have family and friends here. Really, we're fine. I'm reading that on Reddit and really enjoying all the threads, the subreddits by Angelinos going, I'm just sitting around drinking iced tea by the pool. I don't know what the rest of you guys are doing. All right. Meanwhile, if you want the back episodes, they're on Proton. I could not fit 50 this time. So it's episodes 101 to 140 of the original series. I will try to mount as many as I can in July that come after this, but I can't always guarantee I'll get 50 up at a time. But we're at 101 to 140. Please remember, when I finish this, I will try to do the next block of the news series, and then I will start over. So if you're missing any, I will give you the chance to get those again later. And I'm keeping them up for a month because it takes a lot of work just to get them compressed and loaded. That's actually pretty time consuming. I don't mean to whinge because it's not that hard, but it does eat up computer time. So that's why I'm giving them a whole month. Okay, put a lid on it. Well, interestingly, there is a study recently that suggests that sparkling water, if it doesn't have any nasty chemicals in it, actually may help control blood sugar. I don't know, but I know I crave it. And the trick is finding really, really clean contents. I stopped using the SodaStream because in America, the flavorings all have, are you ready for this, a small amount of toxic to humans, seriously, I hope you're sitting down, carpet cleaner in them. I am not drinking that. My liver is compromised. I'm a diabetic, but really, do you want to drink it? I don't want to drink it. Okay, so I have a lovely app that I've talked about before, Yucca, I think it's YUKA, that will tell you the ingredients. Yucca likes LaCroix and bubbly. And bubbly is spelled with B-U-B-L-Y. There's not a double B in the middle of that. I am getting these, I think they're 8-packs, and they're $5 or less at our local overpriced mini supermarket. So I would recommend these, bubbly and LaCroix. And I certainly enjoy them. I can go through a huge amount of them in one day. And that's nice because I've really, really been hydrating as a result. Meanwhile, I am still continuing my electrolyte drink recipe there. The Ketorade, this is not really mine. It's actually from a medical doctor and his wife, the nurse, Ken Berry. And I cannot remember his wife's name. But anyway, it is there because I really think this is a good thing to keep in your fridge. It also requires sparkling water. I've always used plain sparkling water in it, but one of these days I'm going to pour some bubbly in there and see what we get. This is ridiculously easy to make. stores extremely well. Let me tell you, after a hard run in the heat, oh yes. But it's just good drinking. It doesn't sound like it. It really sounds weird, but it works. You have to remember, you're using some interesting ingredients, but these are small amounts in a whole pint of sparkling water, and that makes a big difference. Okay, let's get on to the blather, shall we? Well, in the he's a what department, my son continues as the chorus line guy. He almost missed a mandatory rehearsal because of his graduation after some flack, and kind of we deserved it, I have to admit, from the organizers. He went immediately after his graduation and worked with his partner on his share of the dance that goes with Shipoopi. And he did 2 hours of this after an emotional graduation. Well, I was emotional anyway. And he came home just roaring happy and excited, bounced into the bedroom where I was lying in bed reading, and wanted to tell me all about it, which was lovely. And then there's he's a what part 2. He's a graduate. He's a college man. That's my boy. He graduated. It was beautiful. What was weird? I had to go a little bit late because, of course, my last patient, child abuse report, had to file it, had to get it in. That takes time. So, of course, right before your kid's graduation, of course you get held up to do a child abuse report, but we don't let kids die on my watch, just going to say. All right, so I hop in the car and I buzz down there. And my husband texts me where he's sitting. He's got seats for us. I get there. I sit down and my husband points to the row right in front of us. He got right front and center, right behind the last row of the graduating students, which was great. And he points. And I look where he's pointing, and there's just a guy sitting there. And I thought, why is he pointing at that guy? And I suddenly realized that guy's my son. It was really impressive. He just was sitting there looking like an adult. Holy Moses. I'm still recovering. I did manage not to sob audibly throughout the ceremony. I had a lot of streaming eyes during some of the more emotional songs, I'm just going to say. So, and then of course we have the Glendale Spree today, which you've heard about. It was fabulous, and no, except for the fact that they delayed trains in and out of LA Union Station. Delayed, did not cancel. You would never have known there was a problem in LA. No, we're not collapsing, for love of heaven. And during the graduation, like I said, I didn't really sob cry, ugly cry, whatever you want to call it. Because, 247 bouts of tears this week. I suspect my tear ducts are now permanently damaged, and I may never have liquid in my eyes again because I didn't know I could produce this much. Meanwhile, we do continue the boycotts. And otherwise, yes, I'm doing my best to move away from other platforms. My exception, I use Instagram now to log my runs. Yeah, I know y'all get to see my runs. I'm a show-off, but also it's the easiest way I can find to simply have a dated record of how my running is going. Yeah, it makes me feel good. But Instagram, yeah, okay. I'm not on Blue Sky that much because it's very, very heavy on political commentary, and I have to keep a handle on that or I get too upset. Okay, meanwhile, you can see the calendar of the local events for people who mess with yarn and other things here in the Santa Clarita Valley. I'm still carrying the SCV Free Craft Exchange, but they haven't met in a while as far as I can tell. So when I get a life back, maybe I'll see if I can organize an exchange. And you can see my racing schedule. Actually, at this point, what you're going to see there is the first thing on that calendar, since you're going to hear this on the 14th, is my week off, which is the week of July 4th. And I'm deeply, deeply looking forward to that. And CFR, of course, on October 11th. And Minerva gets the last word. And there you can see Minerva thoughtfully scratching the arm of my chair to protest. That's what she does when I'm annoying her. Because Minerva wants you to know that her mom, that's me, her mom's other kitten grew up. And it's getting pretty tiresome to have mom sitting around crying all the time, even if mom keeps saying those are happy tears, It's really annoying Minerva, who keeps climbing in my lap and saying, "Are you okay? Are you okay? If you're not okay, why are you doing this? What's going on? Everybody's normal. Stop it." So you can see Minerva's answer is to claw things. You may notice that chair arm, the chair I'm sitting in right now, the captain's chair, the command chair, looking a little the worse for wear, isn't it? Yes. So Minerva's last word is, look, just because you're happy and proud of your son, stop crying or she will be forced to destroy the house with her claws. I guess we are a community, and that means I'm neglecting one member of the community by being obsessively proud of another member, just saying. But we are a community, and that means when we take care of the community, we are taking care of the individual. On that happy note, and so many other happy notes, please, everybody, stay safe, take care of each other, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye. So we have come to the end of another episode of Cognitive. Please do not use this podcast to diagnose yourself. If you think you are having a mental health problem, please contact a licensed mental health professional. Show notes for these episodes can be found at cognitivepodcast, all one word, .blogspot.com. Episodes can be found at iTunes under the name Cognitive Podcast, but also can be found posted next to the show notes on the Blogspot page. Thank you so much for listening. Everybody, stay safe, take care of each other, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.